Hey guys, Johnny Crips 2000 here, and welcome to part 1 of my Let's Play of Fantastic Four, the game, for the PlayStation 1. Now, this game came out for the PlayStation 1 and only for the PlayStation 1 in 1997. It was developed by Prove Entertainment and published by Acclaim Entertainment. Oh, how I don't miss that logo at all. Acclaim was kind of crap. And, This game actually has a special significance because it was actually the very first proper-ish Fantastic Four video game, as we'll take a look at here in this very, very 90s-looking early 3D craptastic CGI right here. It's so cheesy, it's awesome. But yeah, this game was the first proper Fantastic Four video game. Now, originally, there was a Fantastic Four themed video game. It was part of a series called Quest Probe that came out in 1985, and it came out for like computer consoles, kind of like the Commodore 64 and the 8-bit Atari systems. But it was an adventure game. I think it only starred the Thing and the Human Torch, and it wasn't really like a video game per se, the way that you would normally think of a video game. This game, however, was the very first proper Fantastic Four video game, and unfortunately it doesn't hold a very high distinction amongst gamers, for various reasons that I will get to as we play through this game. But anyway, here is the press start screen, and I actually really love this the style in the back. I'm a digital artist myself, and I love minimalism, so I really love the style there. And what you're looking at here is that in between all the loading screens, and there are plenty of them in this game, you get to play this little mini racing game until the screen is done. As you guys can see, I'm the one in the yellow, and you can shoot and stuff like that. It's a little fun thing that can get you to pass the time. But I'll be cutting all of them out. Now, here's the thing that you guys need to do as soon as you get to this game is you have to go into the options menu, and you have to input a code. First of all, you can turn on the drones. The drones actually act as your companions here. This is a 2D style beat 'em up game, kind of like an old arcade style beat 'em up game. And the fun thing, the really inventive thing about this game is that you can turn on drones. It's 4-player. You can, if you have a multi-tab, you can play with 3 of your friends, which is really awesome. But if you don't have 4 players that you can play with, like I did, none of my friends wanted to play this game, which I don't blame them. You can turn the drones on, and you can have 3 other CPUs play with you. And if you press here, there's the cheat code. If you go down to this the training, and you press L1, L2, R1, R2, you get some extra options there. And I decided to turn on free play because this game is actually very difficult towards the end. You will be dying a lot. And here are the controls here: attack 1, attack 2, block, jump, and you have various kinds of throws, which will actually get into the gameplay here. And here I'm going to be playing as the Human Torch, mainly because that's who I am the most comfortable playing as. But as you guys can see, you can play as other people there. You actually have 5 playable characters. You have the Human Torch, you have Mr. Fantastic, the Invisible Woman, the Thing, and you also have She-Hulk, who actually showed up as part of the Fantastic Four. I'm going to show her off here. If you go one over, there she is. She-Hulk is ready and available, but I'm going to be sticking with the original Fantastic Four team for a reason that I will explain in a minute. And here is our first chapter, Attack of the Mole Men. Plucked from their headquarters by a mysterious beam, the Fantastic Four are plunged into a city filled with chaos. Now, this game does actually have a story mode, but it is very poorly explained. You actually don't know what's going on until the very end of the game, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But anyway, here is the gameplay, guys. This is a standard beat-em-up game. I love beat-em-up games, as you guys can probably tell already. I do a lot of Let's Plays for beat-em-up games. So a lot of people didn't like this game when it first came out. And really for a lot of reasons. By this point, the beat-em-up genre had kind of gone away. Everybody was kind of jumping towards 3D games and things of that nature. And this game, I guess, was seen as very archaic. It's not the most polished game ever, but I think that there are still some very cool things about it. For starters, as you guys can see here, I'm playing alongside 3 other characters, but they are not my friends, as is the usual case with beat-em-ups of this type on my channel. When I do multiplayer beat-em-up games, I usually have my friends play with me. They didn't really want to play this game with me, so I'm just like, alright, fine. I'll give you a pass on this game. We'll do another game together, but for this game it's alright because I can get the CPUs to play with me. The CPUs are not the best ever. They're actually pretty dumb, they're pretty stupid, and in the final boss they can actually impede you from finishing the game, which I'll explain in the last part of this game. But anyway, the cool thing about this game is that each one of the Fantastic Four and She-Hulk actually has their own special powers, as you guys can see there. Now at the top left there, you got 2 different types of bits of information. You have a circle diagram, which actually represents your life. You may be inclined to believe that that green bar is your life. It actually isn't. It's that's actually your force power, which actually tells you how much you can use your special powers for certain attacks. Not all of them. There are certain attacks that drain your force power, which you have to replenish by collecting these little green orbs. These little orbs that you get when you kill enemies. But you do have some you obviously have your standard attacks. As you guys can see at the top left, I got a cheese icon. That means that I'm being cheesy. Kind of like a fighting game when you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It sort of, makes fun of you for that. But you have a good selection of powers depending on who you are. Each power is different and it's unique to whatever member of the Fantastic Four you choose. So mine are obviously fire-based, and as you guys saw there, I did a special power and it drains half of my force power. Thankfully though, I instantly replenished it by collecting these those purple pink items that you see on the floor there. So it's pretty unique. Each one, as I said, has them. So Mr. Fantastic has his versions of the force powers, his special attacks. The Thing has his. The Invisible Woman has hers, and She-Hulk has hers. Speaking of She-Hulk, you may be wondering why is she a part of the Fantastic Four, and she was actually a part of the Fantastic Four for a while. I think every now and then she goes back, but originally she became a part of the Fantastic Four after Secret Wars, which was a limited edition, or a limited series, where they went to, a number of different superheroes went to what's called Battle World. A lot of people may remember that as the time when Spider-Man got his symbiote costume, the black costume, and we brought back the symbiote that would eventually spawn Venom. The other unique thing that came from that was that the Thing actually stayed back on the Battle World to rethink his life, so to speak. And because he went back, he actually told the She-Hulk to take his place. Now this is a special bonus boss fight. The way that you get here is if you go through an entire area without dying once, without losing a life, you get one of 3 different special bosses, like extra bosses. Now this one, there are 3, and we will actually be seeing all of them in this part. This is Dragon Man. He debuted in Fantastic Four number 35. He is an android, and he doesn't really appear much in video games. This is a rare time when we actually saw him. If you guys are interested, and because I love this sort of trivia stuff, Dragon Man did appear in Spider-Man Web of Fire before this. This was a game for the 32X. It's actually one of the rarest games for the 32X, Spider-Man Web of Fire. He was a boss in that game. He reappeared in Fantastic Four, the video game, based off of the movie, which was released in 2005. He appeared as a sub-boss, I believe, in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And then he also appeared in Marvel Heroes, which is an MMO. Which is actually pretty good. If you're a Marvel fan, you should check that out. But anyway, here we go. We're continuing on. As you guys can see, we get a nice little selection of different characters, different types of enemies here. And like I said, a lot of people didn't really like this. One of the other reasons is that the animation isn't the greatest. These characters are obviously made from 3D models, but they're not the best looking models. They're very stiff, and obviously, as you guys can see there, the CPU is not the best. They're not really doing anything. The reason why I would encourage you guys to play this with the CPUs on is, for starters, this game does get very, very hard later on, so you want to have as much help as you can, even if it's just the CPU being nothing but cannon fodder. as bad as that sounds. And it also, you know, this is a beat 'em up, so I just always get the feeling that if it's a beat 'em up, you want to have multiple people playing at the same time. And if you can't, then the CPU is always there. But anyway, this is a mini boss, a sub boss. You guys may not be able to see it. I may actually have to increase the brightness, so you may notice that the screen is getting a little bit bright here. This is a mole monster. You may recognize him. A bit of more trivia about this guy is that you may recognize him from the cover of Fantastic Four #1. Now this guy can actually be pretty tricky. You can't actually hurt him. You can't actually punch him. There are enemies that will come out indefinitely, or infinitely rather. The only way you can damage this guy is if you throw the rocks that he throws at you to the background, and that involves hitting one of the 3 different throw buttons. For those of you who don't know, who didn't see at the beginning when I showed off the controls, you have 3 different kinds of throws. You have a regular kind of throw, which just throws the enemy either forward or backward, and you have one throw that throws an object or an enemy to the back of the screen, so towards the background, and you have another button that throws an enemy or an item towards the foreground. For this one, we obviously have to throw the rocks towards the backgrounds in order to damage him, and that's the only way that you can win this. And I got stuck the first time I played this game because I had no idea you even had that button. But you do. This is the second mini-boss. This is Iceman. I don't think I need to explain who he is. He debuted in X-Men #1, and there are way too many instances where he reappears in video games, so I'm not even going to bother. Pretty much any game that has X-Men in it, you'll probably see him there. And he actually has a lot of similar moves to the Human Torch. He's basically just the Human Torch, just in ice mode, and he ended up beating me, so that's no fun. By the way, I am cutting out all the loading times. In between all this, you will still need to see the little kart racing game, which gets old really quick, but thankfully through the power of editing I am taking all of that out, so you're welcome. And here we're getting some more difficult enemies. Now the enemies here aren't really all that bad. The enemies later on will get really annoying, especially some in particular that I'm thinking of right now when we go to Atlantis. And yes, we are going to Atlantis, spoiler alerts. Which is not really much of a spoiler because the actual instruction booklet actually tells you all the different levels in this game. I don't know why. That's one of the quirky things that instruction booklets used to mention from back in the day. But here we are continuing on this little passage here. Like I said, sometimes the CPU, your comrades there can help you out. Other times they just stand around. They do a well enough job. Obviously you would want them to do a little bit more, but for what they do it well. If anything, they just distract the other enemies. Like I said, that's pretty much what I use them for, is just distract the other enemies, take out some of the enemies behind me so they don't hit me. And here we go with the last sub-boss of this game before I end this part, guys. This is the Incredible Hulk, obviously from Incredible Hulk #1. He is similar in move sets to the She-Hulk, I believe. He is very bulky. Whenever he stomps the ground, you want to jump because no matter where you are, you will get hit. He's not really all that hard. I think I'm going to lose to him though. But this is the last time I'm going to show the sub-bosses because, as I said, every time that you win you go through a level without dying, you see these guys and it gets old very fast. But anyway guys, that's it for part 1. I will see you in part 2.